I was wondering if you were pro actor. I have received professional training. I have been in professional productions. I have been paid for acting before, but I am not currently listed in the Spotlight Registry of Actors because I voluntarily took myself off it. So in England, in order to be a professional actor, you need to be on a registry called Spotlight. And to get onto Spotlight, you must have professional training from either a drama school or accredited university or college, or have 3 professional credits. To be on Spotlight, I think you have to pay £150 a year. I mean, correct me if that has changed. The problem that I have with that is £150 a year is a lot of money to some people. It's a lot of money to jobbing actors who may not have guaranteed income. You will not get the good castings unless you're on Spotlight. You will not get the good agents who even want to bother talking to you unless you're on Spotlight. In fact, the first question an agent will often ask you is, are you on Spotlight? But let's just consider that £150 a year. Okay, so some of you might be able to afford that quite easily. What you might not be able to afford is, and I feel passionate about this, very passionate, is all of the expenses around it. Going to a drama school is not cheap. It's a very expensive thing to be able to afford to do. Even if you can get into drama school, what you then need to realize is that you're going to find it difficult to have a job while going through that training as well. So can you sustain yourself? Do you have enough money saved up to sustain yourself for 2 to 3 years worth of education? For the vast amount of people, the answer to that is no. This is why whenever people say, oh, why aren't there more actors from middle class or even working class backgrounds? I'll say to them, who has the money to not only afford higher education, but also to afford to survive in the lifestyle that the higher education demands? After doing that, let's imagine that you want to be an actor. You probably won't get a role for a long time, but when you get offered an audition, you've got to take it. Let's imagine you've got a basic job. Let's say you work fast food, and you get a call from your agent. Hey, by the way, we've got you an audition. It's in London. It's in 2 days' time. And you go to your manager and say, hey, can't make my shift in 2 days. I've got an audition in London. The manager simply says, oh, that's too bad. You're not getting the time off. That means you need a job that is going to allow you the time off whenever the hell you want to take it. So let's just combine all these things together. You need to be able to afford higher education. You need to be able to afford to pay your way, your rent, your mortgage, your food, your bills, your clothes, all that kind of stuff, your travel, your transport, without having a job that's full-time. You need to be able to take time off that job pretty much whenever you need to, and afford rather expensive travel to get to big cities, and then you need to be able to know that potentially nothing is going to come of all that investment. Who is capable of doing that? Now, I'm not saying that no one from a working class background has ever made it in Hollywood. Of course they have. There's lots of stories. But the biggest advantage to becoming an actor that you could possibly have is money. So I was looking at my Spotlight, and I was on there, I was all registered, I was getting auditions, and I thought, this is rigged. This is unfair. I prefer making YouTube videos and Twitch streaming, because then I feel that it cuts out a lot of the celebrity entertainment bullshit, and it allows me to enjoy a hobby that I love and connect with a community that hopefully enjoy the hobby that I love as well. So that's kind of why I thought, you know what, I'm not paying 150 quid for this anymore. The irony now, the real irony, is that I am now actually in a life position where I could try and go for all that. But after spending so much time behind the curtain, I prefer this so much more. The biggest advantage to anything is money. Without a doubt. Sorry, but it is. The amount of actors and performances that I have seen that are just dire. I watched a horror film a couple of months back. I forget the name of the horror film. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It's a haunted house underwater. And the entire premise of the film is a couple of divers find this, local haunted house. I got completely stomached there. Two divers, male and female, find this local haunted house legend, and they dive into it and they stay there, and they get haunted by zombies underwater. And the fact that it was an underwater filmed haunted house was incredible. There were loads of diving scenes, there were loads of really good set pieces actually filmed under the water. But the lead male actor was weak. And I just thought, it's so strange that you've put so much money and effort and time into the practical effects of this film to go with a lead actor who's weak. So I looked up the lead actor. It's Mick Jagger's son. Then things started to fall into place. I'm like, right, gotcha. I see why he was cast and why they decided to go with a practical effects heavy expensive film. Gotcha. Because the money's there. The Deep House, that was it. That was it, the Deep House. Lead female, actually very good. So that's my mini rant about the state of performance in general.